Okay, we just about got this keel mold put together. I flipped it over upside down. I got both of the sides cut out. You can see that one there. That was the second one I did. Boy, there's something to be said for having done it before. The second one just was much easier. Just sawed right along and cut it out. On both of them, I had to plane them just a little bit in places, just to get them to fit, like down here on the ends. And it was weird because you could use a pivot point of where the little V is. You see, I got a line marked on there so I know where that is. And then you could, since it's narrower at both ends, you could kind of pivot it on that point and see if it was hanging up on this part. And I was doing this with it flipped over on the other side. But then if it was hanging up, you just take the plane and plane off the side piece just a little bit, and then you can get it to go. Now on that one, see, I've got just a little bit extra, so that's good. I'll have to cut those off. That's fine. And now I'm trying to screw it down, but these boards have to bend because, as we know, it's narrower, way narrower in the, let's see, that's really actually the back, the after section. And then you can see how I've got a few screws in here already, and I'm getting them in there just nice. I'm using a clamp to try to pinch those two boards. And then as I pinch there, then I run a couple screws in, a screw in, screw in, screw in. So I've got, at this point, 4 screws on each side. The first one I put in was on this, what I call the V, or the pivot point. So I got that on both sides. And then you can see how the sides are flared way out. I don't know if you can see that or not. But yeah, see how the tails of them are clear off out? Well, that's because they don't, I'm going to have to bend those in. So I expect I can just take the clamp and then push those back in. So anyway, the more I get screwed down here, then I'll know if I can bend that without steaming it. I think I can. I set it lengthways across the sawhorse there and pressed down on it and got a pretty good bow out of it. Didn't hear any cracking or creaking, so we will see. Okay, once I get it flipped over, we'll take a look at it so we can see what, how it actually looks. Okay, I got both sides on here. I used number 6 1.5-inch screws, and you can see that I just started up in the middle. And first I went toward what's the back end up there in the front, and then just came back, just using the clamps, pinching it, pinching it, pinching it, put in a screw, put in a screw, use the clamps, pinch it a little more. So I'm going to flip this thing over. Now the other thing that it calls for is for there to be a 4-degree angle on both these boards going in toward the top. I'll talk about that more when I flip it over. I got it done. This is the keel mold for this. And this is the front end here, and this part's enclosed. Now I still have to put in 2 pipes in here for air vents, and that shows that on the plans. Thinking I'll probably use copper. I don't know how I'm going to secure them yet, but it seems like the least of my troubles. And then put all these little stringers in here, and I was smart enough to check this at each station and make sure that the distance in between this center board slot board was the same on both sides. And when I first started doing it back here, we were off. It was closer to this side. So I just took the clamp and clamped from here to here and pulled it over just a little bit. It wasn't off much, almost 1/8 of an inch, but that's plenty. So now I know that it's right in the middle. And the plan calls for the top part here, which is really the bottom of the boat. But the top part of the mold is supposed to, these sides are supposed to come in at 4 degrees. So it's narrower at the top than it is down at the bottom. And so the way I accomplished that was, I thought about beveling the boards when I put them on, but that was just not necessary. I just was able to use the clamps and pull them together. And so then the way to do that is, let's say you're at station 12, and you want to know what that inside distance is supposed to be here at station 12. So you look at the plan, and station 12 here says we're supposed to be 5 3/4 at the top. It's 6 5/8 at the bottom. So you can see it narrows going up. So 5 3/4 at station 12, and that's the inside measurement. And so take the rule, and we're at 5, and we're about 5 7/8. So that one's just a teeny bit wide, but it was wider. So I just took the clamp and tightened it. 14 at the top is supposed to be 5 1/2. So 14 at the top, 5 1/2. So I feel pretty good about the dimensions. It seems fair, and it definitely's got a nice curve to it, and it definitely bows in at the top compared to the bottom. And I think it's pretty symmetrical. So this should be ready for us to bury in the ground. I am going to put a little end cap right here. I'm not happy with that at all. And that won't be a big deal. I'll just cut a little piece of wood. I'm going to sand that down real smooth, and then put a little piece of wood on there. I did it on the other end underneath that lid that we put on. All right, keel mold complete.